All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays. They work in your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
What did I just watch? Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Sports Corner. My name is Will. Alongside with me is Sarge today, and we're here to talk to you about a couple of things, particularly that. Monday Night Football. Let's get started with that just because that's the main reason we are here. But first, before we get into that, we do have our T-shirt situation that you can win a free T-shirt here on the ASAP Network. If you saw that comment that just came up from Madison Ewan, you can be doing the same exact thing in the comment section yourself. If you are in the comment section, you're leaving comments, you're liking the page, you're following the page, sharing the page, no matter what, at the end of the month, we're going to tally it all up, and whoever's done that the most will win their very own ASAP Network T-shirt. Right now, you got to play catch up with Madison. Not going to lie, she's been killing it so far this month. So if you think you're a little bit too late to the ball game, you may not be able to catch up. Make sure you could also message one of us or anybody on ASAP Network, and you can message one of us and get one of those for $14.99 plus shipping and handling, and we will get you your very own ASAP T-shirt ASAP. So, Sarge, this game. Wow. I'm looking to get a T-shirt so I can get a good end to 2020. I know Madison Ewan's a Steeler fan. Talk about a terrible way to end 2020. It's not going great, I tell you what. And let's just talk about this game. Final score as we're looking at it right now, 27-17 in favor of the Cincinnati Bengals. I didn't think I'd say that. Sarge, give me your first opinions on the game.
I don't know what Pittsburgh is thinking about drafting that new rookie quarterback that they started today. That's what it seems like Ben was playing like. But I got to give credit to the Bengals defense. I mean, they were able to force 3 turnovers, and they pressured Big Ben. They knocked him down 9 times out of his they were able to pressure the quarterback. But I really don't know what to say about this game. It was so weird. All I can say is maybe like the Bengal fans have a new number 1 starting quarterback for next season, Ryan Finley.
No, come on. No, don't do all that. Let's slow down. Let's pump the brakes on Joe Burrow. But wow. Congratulations to the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm still in shock. I don't know what to do. I'm throwing up in my mouth. This whole game and this whole idea has just really been throwing me off. It's been absolutely nuts to even think about that this happened. And this is just to cap off a nuts week. I mean, the Jets got their first win. They fall back to the number 2 spot in the draft. Now we're seeing the Bengals beat the Steelers. Are the Steelers frauds? Are you looking at it right now, Sarge? Are you looking at it? They started off 11-0, now losers of 3 straight. They've still got 2 tough games forward in Indianapolis and Buffalo. Where do you see them right now?
Oh, I do believe that they're frauds. Just really quick, it's actually the Colts and the Browns is the last 2 games, and yes, they
already played Buffalo. Yep.
Yeah, they're going to be 2 tough games, but I'm actually rooting for the Browns to win it. I mean, this team, the Browns team, is one snake-bitten franchise in all of sports. I mean, I don't remember the last time they were in the playoffs, but if they make it home field advantage, let all the fans in. I don't care. Just let them in. They need something. The Browns fans need it. But I don't think the Steelers can. They will probably be able to get to the conference championship, but I cannot see them getting into the Super Bowl whatsoever.
You can still see the Steelers going to the conference championship after all this?
I think once they get healthy and so forth, I believe that they will be able to do it. And Mike Tomlin is going to actually say some few choice words to his players to get them more motivated.
He's definitely going to have a good choice of words. I made a prediction. I said, whoa, go back. Slow down, Nate. You're sitting here clicking over your own comment. I made a prediction. I said Breeze and Big Ben were going to retire after this season. Wouldn't be shocked. What did Brandon Herrera say? Steelers fan. Oh, my goodness. Somebody needs to slow that man down. 11-0 start to 0-3. How much blame on the coaching? Okay, let's address that question before we go on to the next one. And Steelers fans have to know that there'll be a first-round exit. And let's talk about that a little bit too. 11-0 to 0-3. And yes, it's tough because they had two games in which they really shouldn't have lost. Washington football team, they should have been able to get a W out of that. They easily should have been able to get a W out of the Joe Burrow-less Cincinnati Bengals, nonetheless. Not even, they're not 100% either. They don't have Joe Burrow. They didn't have Joe Mixon. They're running off of Ryan Finley and Giovanni Bernard. And you're going to go out there and lose to this team? I understand it's a divisional game. Sometimes divisional games are a little bit closer than others, but there's no excuse. Where do you see the blame, Sarge? Do you see it more on the players? Do you see it more on the Coach Tomlin? Where do you stand right now?
I'm going to have to say more on the players because you have a really veteran team with the Steelers. And look what Coach Tomlin did last year with the Steelers with the third string quarterback. I got to agree with some of these comments. This is the end of Big Ben. He has fallen.
It's whenever I'm sitting here looking at it, specifically today, when just talking about today's game, Big Ben went 20 for 38 with 170 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Okay, I don't care what quarterback you are, that's not good enough. And at the end of the day, Mike Tomlin's not the one going out there and making the plays; it's the players. We've seen the Steelers go 11-0. At the end of the day, the Steelers are still 11-3. What blame can you put on Coach Tomlin? It's one of those to where he's been putting a decent game plan into place. It's just now it's starting to catch up, and we haven't seen the running game be as efficient for Pittsburgh. We haven't really seen it been efficient all year. James Conner has been very up and down, a very Jacqueline High running back. And then the offense was clicking. The defense was clicking very well. Now you're allowing 27 points to a Bengals team, which I don't know if you can give it on the defense either because a lot of bad turnovers given the Bengals great field position. And really, whenever you talk about it, Madison, there's no excuse. The game was just sad. Really, whenever you're watching it, it really was sad. I took a screenshot of the statistics at halftime. And let me tell you, this is amazing. The Steelers didn't even have 70 yards in the first half. Oh, let me tell you. So as I'm looking at it in the first half, the Pittsburgh Steelers, 2 first downs, 40 total yards, only 33 rushing yards to 7 passing yards. That might be the worst half of football I've seen by a team not being ran by a guy named Kendall Hinton. That was absolutely abysmal. How do you come out here, go down, I want to say 17-0 at half to the Cincinnati Bengals, who are missing their franchise guy, who's missing their number one running back? I'm honestly at a loss for words, Sarge. I really don't know what to say. But do you really still see this team as number 2 in the AFC? Whenever you've got teams like Cleveland, you've got teams like Buffalo, Indianapolis, and Tennessee are both playing well out of the AFC South. I know the records there. I know they're 11-3, but it all comes down to trends. And right now, there's no team trending worse. Whenever it comes to a playoff team, they're in a rough spot.
I gotta agree. This is the worst time for any team to actually have a slump in coming into the playoffs, because with the playoffs, they're gonna have to make a 10 with Tennessee, Cleveland, even Indianapolis and Miami. When they do make the playoffs, I don't see them making the first round bye with that, because I think Kansas City is gonna run away with that one easily, but. I still think I can see them at least making the conference championship and just getting blown out.
Okay. I see where you're coming from. Shout out to I'm assuming Mr. Johnson is Deontay Johnson of Pittsburgh, helping Brandon Herrera get to his fantasy football championship. I want to say shout out to Wayne Gallman for doing poorly and getting me to my fantasy football championship. So shout out Wayne Gallman, and shout out Kyler Murray. I left on the bench. Bad decision, not going to lie. But Justin Herbert still did enough to get me there. Regardless, not fantasy football, real life football. And this game was just bad. And whenever I'm looking at the AFC playoff picture, I mean, I feel like there's just so much going on in the AFC. That number 7 spot's really still kind of up for grabs between Miami and Baltimore, which is going to be very interesting because Baltimore has 2 very, very easy games, and Dolphins have 2 games that they could find a way to lose. Pardon me. And then whenever I'm looking at it on the other side of the AFC, I think the Bills are the second most complete team in the AFC. I love the Buffalo Bills. I'm so high on them. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. And then there's the Indianapolis Colts have been very great. Their offense is a little up and down, but their defense has been stellar. The Titans are literally the reverse opposite. Their defense has been abysmal, but their offense has been great. And then the Baltimore Ravens are on a hot tear right now that could find their way in. And that's a team that, if Lamar Jackson plays well, it's a very good team. Shout out to Big Ben for not scoring 60-plus this week. I know that saved Nate's behind getting to the championship, so shout out Big Ben, really sucking it up. But, man, the AFC playoff picture is just getting so interesting now because now you're looking at, I want to say Steelers are still sitting at that number 2 spot. But you're going to have the Buffalo Bills right there at number 3. And then I'm assuming the Tennessee Titans or Indianapolis. I think the Tennessee Titans hold the division right now at number 4 with Cleveland, Indy, and then Miami in there with Baltimore right on their tail. I'm going to turn it over to you. Who do you see taking that final wild card spot whenever you're looking at it? Do you see Miami or do you see Baltimore?
I see Miami because I'm just looking at the records. Miami has the best win percentage in conference play over Baltimore. So I do see them tying for the records, and Miami is going to finally get that one last spot.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I don't know if it's just because I haven't been high on the Dolphins all season. I don't know if it's just because I don't believe in their quarterback play, but I'm still going with the Baltimore Ravens, which is kind of hilarious because I really don't believe in Lamar Jackson either, which is weird to say. It's just both teams have a great defense. It's just that the Ravens, off of first glance, have a much easier schedule. They take on the Giants and then the apparently the amazing Bengals. I mean, when you're looking at it, the Steelers are the number 3 seed. The Bills have hopped up into the second spot with a win. There you go. Whenever it comes down to that, I didn't realize that the Bills were an 11-win team right now. I thought they were still at 10, but wow. I mean, it's just the playoff picture is just getting ridiculous. I still think Baltimore is going to find a way to scoot in there. But yeah, going back to tonight's game, whenever you're looking at it, was there anybody that really stood out to you in this game, or maybe even a performance that was poor that really stood out to you in a bad way? I'm sure there's plenty of people to go on for that. So what player really stood out to you in tonight's game?
Bernard, to be honest with you. When's the last time he actually done good? I thought he actually delivered really well, gained 25 touches and be able to not get hurt. I just think he did. If I had to give a game ball, I would have to give it to him or the Bengals defense with what they got 2 fumbles and an interception. It's a toss up between those two. But the passing game was not there for either team, and the running game wasn't really there for either team. But Bernard, he actually was a workhorse for the Bengals.
Shout out to the Steelers getting more yards in this game at the end of it with only 244. I mean, it was a offensive stalemate. And when you're looking at a 17-27 score, you're not exactly thinking anything too bad on the offensive front. You know, if your offense comes out and puts up 27, I mean, you got to feel pretty good about it. 17, here and there. If your defense plays well, typically 17 is good enough to get the Steelers a win. So it's interesting to see that the Bengals of all teams were able to find enough offensive power. But it really comes down to the turnovers. I think whenever you had mentioned it yourself, the interception and the 2 fumbles, Finley played really well, but didn't make the big mistake. And that's true whenever you're looking at Ryan Finley, coming in 7 for 13, so not even that many pass attempts, 89-yard and a touchdown, no interceptions, really good ball security today by the Bengals. It's not something you hear very often. And another thing that the Bengals did really well today, which I was shocked, is hold off that Steelers defense. Whenever you're looking at it, this team is abysmal on the offensive front. I mean, down in the trenches, they are towards the bottom of the league. And it's almost insulting to have somebody like Joe Burrow behind that line, somebody who's played so well, somebody who stepped in, just getting his feet wet in the NFL, and now he's getting clobbered on every single snap he takes, every single 5-step drop back. He's got 2 defenders right down his throat. And now whenever they're playing one of the best pass rushing defenses in the NFL in TJ Watt, I know they're missing a couple names now due to injury, but they're still a fantastic unit overall. And the fact that Ryan Finley, your backup, comes in with no turnovers, Giovanni Bernard doesn't fumble the ball. Only 2 sacks allowed. I mean, shout out to the Bengals. I mean, really, whenever I'm sitting here thinking about it, the more I'm sitting here talking about this game, the more I want to give the Bengals credit, because really, it was an overall good game for them. They didn't have to do much because of some turnovers. Like I said, getting great field position. Nothing. It's not like they had to go on these big, lengthy drives, but they did just enough. And now our own Coach Cam. We don't have any Steelers fans on the network. I know Madison's in the comment every single episode, and I know she's a big Steelers fan. But hey, for ASAP, Coach Cam, congratulations! I saw you rocking the Bengals gear on Real Talk. So, man, what a game! I mean, what a week!
I know it was like, I gotta say, the play of the game really for the Bengals. It was like 3rd and 4, like 4 minutes left, and they did that QB sneak with Finley running it. I think that really set in the tone for the Bengals defense, because Ross, Big Ben was so off target this whole game. Even the last drive or 2 for the Steelers was just horrible.
I want to say Darius Phillips, the corner for the Cincinnati Bengals, gave me my play of the game. And it was on that final drive that we were watching for the Pittsburgh Steelers, in which the 3rd and 10, and Chase Claypool manages to get behind the entire defense. It should be wide open. It should be an easy pass to make for Big Ben. And then he underthrows it. So, I mean, it does help a little bit, but he's able to get his hand in there. Chase Claypool had everybody beat. It should have easily been a first down in Bengals territory. And now you could be talking about a brand new ball game. We could still be playing overtime right now. So shout out to him. Von Mel smack doo-doo. Don't get me wrong. Okay. Did you see this hit on Juju?
Oh yeah, I did. It was a sandwich.
That was a statement. That was definitely a statement. And I remember I actually saw a couple of people on my social media pages, as well as Twitter, as I was scrolling around on Twitter. People were almost like, especially Steelers fans, of course, were outraged. They were outraged that it was a helmet-to-helmet contact and nothing got called for it, and they were making a big deal out of it. And yes, whenever you're sitting there watching it, sure, their helmets collide. But, I mean, if you don't go out there with intention, I mean, maybe there was intention. It looked like there was some tough feelings, but I mean, when you go out there and you dance on your team logo and then spike a couple footballs in it, who's not going to play angry? I mean, if you have any pride in your team, who's not going to play angry? And now, like, I think with Juju doing this on TikTok, and agree with me if you step in, help me if you agree. I think they're putting such a big target on their own back. I think Juju is slowly trying to become like the most hated guy in the NFL. I mean, he was such a good guy, and everybody loved him when AB was there because AB was the psycho one. And now he's out here dancing on everybody's logos. And now not only are they doing that, but they're losing. And so it was different when you got a winning culture, but now you've lost 3 straight and you're still out here dancing on logos and you're still acting all this. You guys are still thinking it's amazing. Even after you lost to the football team, instead of, doing anything, getting back to practice, you're making videos, on TikTok talking about, did we go undefeated or did we lose to a team without a name? And then everybody's going to the side with the team without a name. Like, do you find a problem in this? Honestly, Sarge, like, I don't know if it's just because I have past experience in sports, and I don't know if it's just a sportsmanship kind of thing. Do you think? But there's also the old school, new school way of thinking of things. But I think you should be able to gloat when you're winning. But the fact that they're still keeping and going about it, and now they're taking L's too. I mean, I'm a little off put by that.
Oh, I am too. It's very disrespectful. It reminds me of T.O. when he went to the Dallas Star and did his antics over there, or his antics with Philadelphia, or any of that. I wasn't a big T.O. fan, but it's disrespectful, no sportsmanship. I don't think it's sportsmanship, and I think you're teaching kids who want to maybe become a professional athlete. You're teaching them some wrong habits right there.
Fair enough. I mean, maybe it's just because I am the way that I am. If I'm taking W's, if I'm winning games, I'm gonna go dance on your logo too. But Juju, you've lost 3 straight now, and 2 of these games you shouldn't have lost, and there's no excuse really. I mean, the football team should have been an easy W. The Bengals should have been an easy W. Buffalo, I'll give you a leeway. Buffalo's a very good team, and then honestly, they've got 2 more games that are very losable in themselves. In Indy, and then you said Cleveland, right? You said Cleveland was the final game.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, these are games that they can find themselves losing. And if I'm not mistaken, it was our very own Nate the Great. Nate, if you want to show yourself and you want to make this comment live on network, I will let you do that. But I want to say he said, what did you say the Cleveland Browns are going to do with the way that the Pittsburgh Steelers are playing?
I wouldn't be surprised if Cleveland wins this division because you brought this up. Pittsburgh has very tough games coming up with the Colts and with the Cleveland Browns. I think, if Cleveland wins this game and Pittsburgh loses this game, I think, but I know that it's going to be the winner of the Browns and Steelers game. I wouldn't even be surprised if they make that a Sunday night game, to be honest.
That's fair. If it comes down to divisional implications, I could imagine that game would get flexed. But when you're looking at it right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they take on Indianapolis, and then the Cleveland Browns next week take on, lo and behold, 1-0 in week 15, the New York Jets. It's I don't want to hear it, Nate. I mean, Madison. This honestly, if you wanted some great positive things to hear about the Steelers, you came to the wrong show. I mean, but you knew this already. I mean, you were watching the game, you had to know. But yeah, whenever you're sitting there looking at it, like I said, the Steelers have the Colts next week. The Browns have the Jets. Then it's going to come down to the final game. Week 17, divisional matchup. I want to say it's in Cleveland. Yes, it is. Cleveland currently scheduled at a 1:00 kickoff. There's no way that's happening if they have the same record. What are your predictions going forward for the Steelers in these next 2 games?
Oof.
They got, I want to say, let me just double check. The Indianapolis Colts are on the road against the Steelers, so it will be played in Pittsburgh, and then Pittsburgh goes on the road to Cleveland.
I can see that Indianapolis may give Pittsburgh a little tough challenge, but at the end of the day, I do think Pittsburgh may be able to squeak that one out pretty well. But I think the Browns are looking for some revenge. They're licking their wounds from that first game where they only scored on one drive. They're licking their wounds, and they're gonna be poised. They're gonna eat their W's.
Oh no! Don't eat W's. It never works. But whenever I'm looking at this, I'm actually going to go a little bit different from you. You did say Pittsburgh, right? I did want to say you said Pittsburgh's eating their W's on next Sunday.
Yes, they're going to.
Okay, good. I wanted to make sure that's what you said. I kind of spaced out there for a little bit, blacked out. I don't know what happened. But whenever I'm looking at it, a lot of people have said throughout the season that the Indianapolis Colts would be amazing if they could just find some offensive consistency. Browns are looking for revenge. I sure hope so. Whenever I'm looking at it, the Indianapolis Colts, they have said that they are very offensively inconsistent. And I've looked in the last 6 weeks, they've put up at least what's the total? What's the lowest number on here? 26. They had 2 weeks where they put up 26. They had 2 weeks in which they put up 27, and then they also dropped 34 and 30. That's really weird. Okay, so their last 2 games, they dropped 27. The 2 games before that, they dropped 26. and the 2 games before that they dropped 34. That's really weird. I don't like how that's happening. But yeah, so their offense has been there. I mean, like I said, 24 points, 26 points. These are totals you should be happy about. If you have a decent enough defenses, these are games you should win, and winning is what the Colts are doing. And winning is not what the Steelers are doing.
Oh, no.
So because of that, I honestly think it's going to come down to that Week 17 game. I think it's going to come down to it, and that would be an amazing storyline. And I am so excited to see how that's going to go, because Pittsburgh was really riding a high there at the beginning. I mean, when you start dancing on people's logos and everything, like, you got to have a level of confidence that not many people have. But yeah, they've really been, for lack of a better term, brought back to earth. I mean, they've really been humbled the last couple of weeks. And so now they're looking at 3 L's straight in the face. And Mike Tomlin's got to be sitting there looking at the locker room going like, the hell's going wrong here? Like, we had it all going. And yes, they're dealing with injuries now. They have Bud Dupree. They have Devin Bush that has missed time on the defensive front. Obviously, James Conner hasn't been amazing. He missed time due to COVID as well. That no telling what he's dealing with that. It's just coming down to a really awkward time right now with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they need to figure something out quick because they're going to the postseason. It's just what spot are they going to be in the postseason? And they could find themselves in a very tough spot here coming in the round 1, because if they go into round 1 without a bye, they're going to be taking on the likes of the if they don't win the division, I guess it does. I guess we don't know. I mean, if they don't win the division, it could be anybody. But right now, with assuming they win the division, going up with the likes of the Cleveland Browns again, the Indianapolis Colts again, the Baltimore Ravens for the 3rd time this season, or the Miami Dolphins, who they haven't faced yet this year, which would be interesting to see. But we'll move on from the NFL football side of things. Now that this is not just the post-game show, this is now Sports Corner. We talk a little bit more just about the NFL. We talk about some more things here and there. So so let's talk about college football for a little bit. We're going to stick in football, but we're going to go to the college side of things. Let's talk about how the bowl games just got announced, and we now know the New Year's 6 bowls for this upcoming season. Obviously, the New Year's 6 bowl is the 6 biggest bowls in college football. We get to see the 1 and the 4 seed and the 2 and the 3 seed go up against each other, as well as the Fiesta Bowl, the Peach Bowl, Cotton Bowl, everything, the whole 9 yards whenever you know it. If you ever think bowl games, it's happening on New Year's Day. So let me try to find, I don't know why I'm blanking out here. Where did my schedule go? Now I'm freaking out. All right, but let's talk about first the playoff. We have the playoff set. Currently in the first playoff game, we're looking at Alabama as the number 1 seed and Notre Dame. Obviously, we have to talk about this. Notre Dame just coming off of a loss. Yes, we do. We do. I promise you we do. We're going to hear about it more on Jock Talk tomorrow, Tuesday. So definitely tune into their show as well. I'm sure they're going to be talking about it a little bit on their show. But let's talk about it right here, right now. We got to address it. Clemson ends up taking down Notre Dame. And yes, Notre Dame finally loses. I want to say it's their first loss of the season. Yes, it's to Clemson, a top 4 team. But they were shown they were kind of taken care of, for lack of a better term. They were played very well by this Clemson team, and they're still sitting at 4, with a sick taste in everybody's mouth. But let's talk about it. Alabama and Notre Dame. Notre Dame obviously has a history of going to the postseason and being a monumental flop. Everybody's high on Notre Dame every single year. Everybody. Ian Book's been a meme this season. I mean, they've turned the poor kid into just a laughing stock out there in Notre Dame. Everybody makes fun of him. Mac Jones is potentially getting Heisman votes. It's going to be an interesting situation. Well, there's one opinion. Sarge, I'm assuming you're going to be following suit with Notre Dame at 4.
First and foremost, I gotta say, I see Megan Ness comment on there. This is her first comment on this show. So I just want to say welcome to the show and everything else. I hope you're doing well down in Colorado. So with Notre Dame, Brian Kelly. Let's talk about Brian Kelly. He's a great coach, right? We can all agree with that.
Yeah.
No, he wins games. He can win games, but he cannot win championships. He can win games, but not championships. I don't know. I felt like we were back in the BCS era all over again. I don't know how Notre Dame got in there because they almost lost to Louisville back in October. But they won 12-7, and they went to double overtime against Clemson with their backup quarterback. Of course, Notre Dame got trounced on this game with Lawrence back. I mean, let's get Texas A&M back. They at least put up some better effort against Alabama, which is their only loss. So that's how I feel. I feel like Alabama is gonna trash Notre Dame. It's not gonna be pretty. It's gonna be bad. They're gonna cancel the game on video. They're gonna switch to a different game. It's gonna be horrible.
I mean, I grew up a Notre Dame fan. I grew up in a small town in Southern Illinois. We rooted for the Fighting Irish just because they were the big thing out in our area. I mean, nothing's going on in the Midwest, nothing too exciting at least. I grew up a Notre Dame fan, but man, going to college, I've seen college football. I've even announced games. I've seen Wisconsin live. I've seen so many great programs live. I've seen Texas. I've seen Georgia Tech. Like I've seen, obviously they're not up there in the top rankings, but I've seen programs live. Even got the chance for my alum to face Notre Dame this year. We lost 56-0. Don't want to talk about it. But this is just like, it happens every year. You know, we know it's going to happen every single year. And this year, they finally put them in a conference. They put them in the ACC, and we're sitting there going, that's a tough game. Nate,
I can see that. I can see that.
I don't know about that big, but it's not going to be good. But yeah, they finally put them in the ACC, and you're sitting there thinking, like, this has got to be like the easiest way for Notre Dame to ever make the postseason. They make it every year anyway. You might as well book their ticket already. And then they come out and they beat Clemson because Trevor Lawrence is down, and you're sitting there going, oh, yeah, here we go again. You know, I was at least thinking they were going to be a number 2 seed, and then lo and behold, long-haired Jesus out in the orange and white comes back and beats Notre Dame. And now they're like, oh, well, we're going to drop them to 4. And I saw a comment on there that said they should at least be dropped to 6th. And honestly, I'm not far with you. I mean, Andrew, I think you make a great point. Definitely, you know, Texas A&M, like you mentioned, Texas A&M should be boosted up there. But where is the love for Cincinnati? Where is the Cincinnati love? Okay, the Bengals just won. Let's keep Coach Cam riding that high. Let's keep it up. I mean, I understand. It's because I'm from a group of 5 school. I'm from a team in the American Conference. I went to school there, graduated from South Florida. And I want to see a team do it. I really want to see the first team do it. And I know it's going to take expanded playoffs to even sniff a playoff berth from a group of 5 team. And it's just really ticking me off. I mean, understandably so, Texas A&M should have been pushed up there. It shouldn't have been Cincinnati. Whenever you're looking at it from a ranking standpoint, it's weird to have Cincy jump that far. But I'm just so sick and tired of not seeing a group of 5 team in the postseason.
I would have to agree. You know, Cincinnati, they didn't lose a game. Yes, they're in a little weaker conference, but I think, you know what, with this game, I think they're coming in as an underdog, even though they're ranked number 8. But I'm going to root for Cincinnati to at least beat Georgia.
So before we get to that game, the Rose Bowl between mentioned that. Let's go to the Sugar Bowl between Clemson and Ohio State. Another game that honestly has a lot of weird storylines behind it. You know, we were wondering if Ohio State was even going to be able to be eligible for playoffs. Now, all of a sudden, with 5 games, go American. I'd love to see the Bearcats in it. Absolutely 100% with you. American Athletic Conference all the way, baby. Let's do it. But we're never going to make it. But yeah, so going on to that game, Clemson versus Ohio State. You know, Ohio State going 5-0 on the season. They're sitting there going, "Oh no, there's no way. They're not even eligible for their own bowl game." Now all of a sudden they are eligible for their bowl game. Now all of a sudden they are allowed in the postseason. It's so weird. And then Clemson. I mean, obviously Clemson's Clemson, but it's Trevor Lawrence. We're going to see him there. It'd be weird not to see him there. But this is honestly the coolest storyline about this is. It's Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. It's potential pick 1 and potential pick 2. It really kind of almost, it may even set the pace for the NFL draft. What are your predictions looking into this game?
I gotta agree with you about the draft. I think this is an audition for both Fields and Lawrence on this game. I still cringe with Ohio State making it into the playoffs, only playing 6 games. Yes, I understand that games were canceled, but I know some games were postponed and were played later. But come on, you can play more games because the interesting game would have been at Michigan. That would have been a huge game for Ohio State. I see Clemson winning at least 45-40. I was watching the Big Ten championship game, and Ohio State was struggling during the first half against Northwestern there. The edge does go to Clemson, and Lawrence will be the number 1 draft pick.
Yeah, we've seen Ohio State play a couple of teams really, I shouldn't say tough, but they're almost playing down. They should have played better against Northwestern. We saw Indiana give them a tough run for their money. An Indiana team that was really pushing for a top 4 pick. Honestly, at that time, if they would have found a way to upset Ohio State, that would have been interesting. I love Ohio State because of Papa, but I don't think they should have been allowed to play because of games. And I think that's almost the general consensus of everybody that isn't an OSU fan. I think everybody that's not a Buckeye is sitting here going, why are we allowing them? But then there's the argument, the best teams need to be there. Okay, well, yeah, the best teams do need to be there. I mean, it's the postseason. It's the college football playoff. The best teams should be showcased. But I think in a weird season like this, and I'm going to get your opinion on this, I would have loved to see the playoffs expanded. I would have loved to see it just get pushed to 8. Just push it to 8 one season. It's a weird season already. We don't even know who's eligible, who's in, who's out. We don't know what's going on. This is such a weird season. So many games being postponed. So many teams having to start late because their conferences are saying, oh, no, we're not going to play, such as the MAC Conference. MAC Conference was the first team to come out. Obviously, we're not going to see them in the postseason. But, MAC Conference first came out. They said, no, we're not doing a season. We're not having it happen. Then all of a sudden, next thing you know, I live in Indiana now. I just got an alert that said Ball State and Buffalo were going for the MAC championship. I'm sitting there going, I thought you guys weren't even playing football. Like I didn't know what was happening. I mean, it was just interesting to see, and it's such a weird season. So many weird things going on because you have teams such as Alabama who have played 11, 12 games. You have teams such as Ohio State who has played 6 games. It's just you have the American who only played 10 this year. It's interesting. It's really weird to look at, and it's just so many question marks that I feel like they really should have expanded the postseason just to see what all could happen. Because the group of 5 teams, such as myself, are going to sit there and keep going. Come on! Let us in the postseason. Let us do it. Let us get a run. And honestly, it'd be better to just let them in and watch them get smacked. I'd rather somebody give them the chance and then they get blown out by a 1 or 2 seed. And then be like, okay, maybe we didn't deserve to be here. I'm sorry, but I'm glad we got the chance to do it. So, would you have liked to see expanded playoffs? Do you want to see extended playoffs going forward? What's your opinion on that?
Oh, I would love to see the extended playoffs. Come on, look at the college basketball. You have schools are large that you got the Cinderella teams. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the Cinderella teams to make those runs to knock off maybe the number 1 to number 2. I remember when Colorado lost to Montana State in Colorado. I remember that game. And also Appalachian State. I believe they beat LSU at LSU. I mean, let's get the Cinderellas in. We know the SEC, the Pac-12, and the ACC. They're always going to be in there. But let's just get them in there. Come on, it's time.
I mean, obviously, it's kind of hard to throw in 64 teams. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to throw in 64, 128. Obviously it's a little bit far-fetched, but I mean, March Madness, I'm not even a basketball fan, and I sit there and I watch March Madness like it's crack. Like I just sit there and I just watch. I have to. It's so entertaining whenever I'm thinking about it. Like I think of teams such as Florida Gulf Coast. You were talking about teams. Splashtown out in Fort Myers, taking down Georgetown, taking down San Diego State, who was a number 7, and I want to say they were a 15 seed. Pretty sure it was 15. I think of teams like UMBC, UMBC coming out and beating Virginia, the first ever 16 to beat a 1. I had a t-shirt from UMBC. I've never been to UMBC. I've driven by it a couple times. I have no idea what it is. I couldn't tell you where it is on a map, even though I've driven by it. Like I know nothing about this program, but I loved watching the game. Another team such as Loyola Chicago making I want to say a Final Four run just a couple of years ago. Phenomenal stuff. I mean, it's just that kind of stuff is really interesting whenever you watch it. And could you imagine just a couple of years ago, if they had extended playoffs and UCF starts picking off teams, and next thing you know, you're looking at UCF in the Final Four. Now you're looking at UCF in the championship. I mean, they beat Auburn, so there's a case of an argument that they have the ability to take on SEC teams. They have the ability to take on the upper level of programs at the time with behind Mackenzie Milton, their phenomenal quarterback that just transferred to Florida State. It's just, could you the storylines would be nuts, because if you start seeing, and honestly, college football is probably honestly afraid of it. They're probably afraid to throw in a team like that to watch them pick off, because if Cincinnati's coming in at an 8 seed and they come out and for some reason beat Alabama, I mean, everybody's going to lose their mind. The only people going to be upset about that are Alabama fans. I mean, it's really going to be amazing if they were able to pull that off.
I agree. I mean, I'm looking at the Fiesta Bowl like years back when it was Boise State versus Oklahoma. I mean, we don't even see that anymore. And like you said, they're afraid. And I bet you if they do that, the ratings will go through the roof for college football.
Absolutely nuts. So we've talked about those two games that have to do with the college football playoff. They're going for the championship. So let's talk about the other 4 New Year's Six bowls. We had hit on it already between Cincinnati and Georgia being the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. Did you say that you were going with Cincinnati on that one?
I would love to go with Cincinnati. Like I said, I like the story. Yes, they played all in conference games. I don't know what it would have been like if it was out of conference, but man, why not? I want to go with the Cinderella. I like the story. I mean, let's get Ryder. Let's get him going. Ryder to.
I love Desmond Ridder. I love that kid so much. And I shouldn't, because he's on a rival school, but I do love watching that kid play. He's he's very electric whenever he's on the field, can make things happen with his feet and his arm. Very good talent. This is another one I have on upset alert. I really, even though, like you said, even though it shouldn't be an upset, they are the 8 seed going in against the 9, the 8 seed, like there's so many teams in the postseason. They are the number 8 team up against the number 9 team. So technically they should be the favorite, but obviously we're not dumb here. Everybody's going to favor Georgia, but I think this is a really interesting game because Desmond Ridder is really a talent that should not go unnoticed. I mean, I said multiple times, I want to say on Sports Minute, that if Desmond Ridder was on any other program, he'd get Heisman votes. I mean, this kid's been playing phenomenal, very athletic, very much a freak athlete whenever you're sitting there watching him, very explosive, like I mentioned, entertaining to say the least. And I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to that game whenever that's going on. So I'm going with Cincinnati on that one. Moving on to another one, let's go with the Cotton Bowl on between Oklahoma at number 6 and the University of Florida at number 7. Sarge, what are your first impressions from that game?
Oh, I bet you I want to see if Florida can come back after that painful loss to Alabama. They put their heart and soul into that championship game, came up short, and also Oklahoma is known to lose these type of games also. So I would not be surprised if Florida comes out on top over Oklahoma.
Alrighty, that's kind of where I'm sitting at it too. Obviously, the University of Florida has an amazing trio on offense between Kyle Trask, Kyle Pitts, and then Tony, their wide receiver Tony. It's absolutely phenomenal to watch. Obviously, Oklahoma's got an amazing situation over there. They've got great quarterback play, even though they've gone through a couple this season. But it is Oklahoma. You know, we've seen it. You know, like you said, history tends to repeat itself, and Oklahoma is another team that's in those big time situations and seems to fall short on a pretty consistent basis, to say the least. I'm going to go with Florida on that one, leaning towards that one. So far, both lower seeds taking the W. So let's move on to the Fiesta Bowl. We're looking at the VIX Oregon Ducks sitting at number 25, taking on the number 10 ranked Iowa State in Glendale, Arizona. An interesting matchup, to say the least. Interesting program names to see out there at a New Year's Six, Oregon and Iowa State. Let's get your opinions on that one.
Oh, I'm going to love Iowa State to run over Oregon. I think it's going to be another fun game. It's going to be a high-scoring game. I want to say at least 35-32. Iowa State on top. I'm going to say Ohio State. I caught myself right there. But I like Purdy, and I do like Hall running the ball. I think there could be a good 1-2 combo with this game. The Ducks just rely too much on the option. That's their go-to, even with Chip Kelly. That's their go-to. That's all you got to stop. And again, Oregon only played 6 games compared to Iowa State's 11 games. Who's better prepared?
Fair enough. I mean, whenever it comes down to it, I mean, then you can make the counter argument maybe that Oregon's legs are fresher, but I'm not going to go with you. I'm going to follow you on that one. I'm going to say sorry, Vic, but I hate the Ducks. Got to go Iowa State. Yeah, there you go. The Ducks look really good when they're out there, but other than that, who's really excited? I'm going to go what Mr. J-Mac has said multiple times on Sports Minute, and that's, you're in the Pac-12. Do you really play college football? It's the Pac-12. Shout out Oregon, sliding in 25. Congratulations. Proud of you. But not really at the same time. Iowa State has been a team that's just had everything rolling for them. Like you said, between the combination of Purdy and Hall, they've been amazing. I mean, it's been great. Offensive explosion, very entertaining team whenever you're out there. A team that honestly I wasn't that high on. I didn't see them making it into the top 10. I thought I could see them sneaking around more towards, if they were going to make the top 25, it'd be 20 and below. Honestly, I was amazed at how well they played this season. Came out of nowhere. I don't know if they're kind of ranked a little bit higher just because of their win-loss record, and they've had those more games, because I know they got off to a really hot start. They made it up high really quick. I want to say they were top 8 really fast early on in the season. And as the Big Ten started coming into the mix and some other teams, they started to slowly trickle down, but ended up finishing at 9. So they didn't even go too far. I know they kind of bounced around in the rankings a little bit, but a good team out there. And I don't trust Oregon. I don't trust what they have going on offense. Like you said, option teams. I don't trust an option team at all. I don't trust Navy. I don't trust Georgia Tech. I don't trust Oregon. Once you figure it out, I mean, what do you do? It's
crazy. Oregon should not be in this. I am sorry, Megan Nuss. They do not have legs or are not fresher. Oregon should not be in here. For goodness sake, they lost to Oregon State of all teams in the Pac-12. That is usually a bottom feeder, is Oregon State. Next is usually Cal. This is the only reason that they got into the bowls, or be at least in the top 25.
And the Civil War. How do you lose the Civil War? That's tough. Vic, I'm going to bring that up to you. Just be prepared. It's not going to be good. So the final bowl game, the Orange Bowl down in Miami, Florida, between number 5 Texas A&M and number 13 North Carolina. Where do you sit on this one, Sarge?
I feel bad for Texas A&M on this one. They got shafted on this pick. Like I said, I felt like we're in the BCS already. But with that being said, I think I don't think it's going to be a game. I think Texas A&M is too talented for North Carolina to even compete. Even though I do like North Carolina a little bit, but it's just too tough of a competition for North Carolina.
See, I'm almost believers in this North Carolina team, and frankly, I don't know why. I really don't know why. Whenever I'm sitting here watching them, recently they've played very well. I mean, they got beat by Notre Dame, which was a tough one, 31-17. But they stomped, and I mean obliterated, the Miami Hurricanes. They're coming off of a great victory over them. I want to say a spread of about 35 points or something similar to that. I want to say they dropped 62. And I've got a buddy on my own show, separate away from ASAP Network, that is just so diehard on UNC. And he's made me the biggest Sam Howell fan. And I love watching him play. And I don't know why. I have no reason to like UNC. But they're just entertaining to watch for me. I know they're a 3-loss team, which really kind of turns me off to it. But whenever you look back at their schedule, okay, never mind. They lost to Virginia and Florida State. I don't know how I feel about UNC anymore. It's tough.
I will say I do like their quarterback, Hal. I think like he started last year. And mean, I like him. I like his play style. I think he's going to do well in the next going up next. In the next
A
level.
dead duck is a good duck. There you go.
There you go, mate. There we
Get
go.
back in the blind. There you go. Yeah, no. After double checking that, I don't know why. No, UNC. Sorry, buddy. How do you lose to Florida State and Virginia? And then, I mean, yeah, Notre Dame, sure, but Florida State and Virginia. I know it was in Florida State. My buddy even went to that game. He's from Tampa, drove all the way up to Tallahassee, a 4-hour drive just to watch you get stomped. That you could have watched on national television. So congratulations for that. But yeah, that'll bring us to the end of our college football. That'll bring us to the end of our college football talk and the New Year's Six. So that's going to wrap it up here for the Sports Corner today. Any closing thoughts before we sign off, Sarge?
I just got to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. I know it's been a crazy, crazy year, but, one thing that's kind of brought us all together is actually sports, I got to give props to the NFL because they actually waited for everything. They planned everything out for this season. I just wish everyone a safe and happy holidays.
All righty. I'd be rude if I didn't say it myself too. So happy holidays to everybody watching on the ASAP network. Thank you for joining us and being a part of the family. I know that I joined a little bit later on in the year, similar with Sarge. I know Sarge is one of our newest members on the network, but even since we've been here, we've already seen this network grow so much. We've seen additions to the network. We've seen a ton of you guys start to follow the network, to like the network, to share it. We're seeing our numbers go up. And it's so rewarding. And to see these comments in the comments section, we love whenever everybody's down here interacting with us. It almost makes us feel like we're big shots. It makes us feel like we're doing something right. And so we're really happy to see you guys down there in the comment section. And if you are down in the comment section, you could win yourself a free t-shirt. Keep doing that. Keep being down there in the comment section. Keep commenting, liking, sharing, everything you could do with this page to interact, to follow, to be a part of the show. You keep doing that. We're going to add it up at the end of the month. If you are the leader at the end of the month, you will win your very own ASAP Network t-shirt. And if it's a little bit late, maybe you're joining on, maybe you're one of Sarge's friends and you're getting a little bit late to the network yourself, feel free to go ahead and contact us. We do the viewer of the month every single month, but if you want that t-shirt right away, go ahead and contact one of us or anybody on the network for that matter. And don't even look at this sign, $25. That's crazy. That's bogus. We're not even doing that anymore. It's $14.99 plus shipping and handling. So it's a hell of a deal. Make sure you get it your very own ASAP Network t-shirt. We'll get it to you ASAP. But until then, I'm Will, and that's Sarge, and this has been it for Monday Sports Corner. Thank you, Nate, behind the scenes. Really appreciate you, buddy, per usual. And if you want to come out here and say any happy holidays or any thank you or just, I don't know, talk about your Broncos for 30 seconds, I don't know what you want to do. But if you don't want to do anything, just go ahead and take us off. So it's up to you. But until then, Nathan.
I want to let everybody know Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And it is finals week for the ASAP fantasy football playoffs, and it is me and Christopher Brown in the championship round. So who's gonna win, me or Christopher Brown? You'll find out in 2 weeks.
I can't wait to see you two go back and forth. This is going to be entertaining. Make sure you comment who you think is going to win the ASAP Network Football Fantasy League in the comments of every single video. Just spam Chris Brown or Nate the Great's name just to annoy everybody on the show. But until then, guys, we'll catch you next time. Thank you all for joining us on Monday's Sports Minute, or Sports Corner, not Sports Minute. And we'll see you on the next one. You guys take it easy.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays. Like working your faces. Grace up the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.